विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सूक्ष्मशरीरं किम् अपञ्चीकृतपञ्चमहाभूतैः कृतम् सत्कर्मजन्यं सुखदुःखादिभोगसाधनम् पञ्चज्ञानेन्द्रियाणि पञ्चकर्मेन्द्रियाणि पञ्चप्राणादयः मनश्चैकं बुद्धिश्चैका एवं सप्तदशकलाभिः सह यत्तिष्ठति तत्सूक्ष्मशरीरम् So, there is a definition of Sukshma Shariram. Definition of non-I. There are several non-Is. I and non-I. And there are several non-Is. Anatmas are many. So, it has been defined. But why should you define? Define only Atma. Why are you defining Anatma? Because Anatma already is taken as Anatma. That's a big problem. That's a confusion. And due to that, there is a lot of suffering. We will be seeing at the end. There is a lot of suffering because of this. Sukshma Sharira is just taken as a self. It is not wrong. What I said is in fact wrong. Sukshma Sharira is not I. That's not correct what I said. Sukshma Shariram is I. I is not Sukshma Shariram. That's the only thing. I means just a mind. I means just senses. I mean just organ of action. I mean just intellect. No. You have a bigger dimension. The I has a very big dimension. It covers all the minds, all the senses, all the organs of action, everything it covers. It covers all the pranas. So don't say this prana is I. I am hungry, I am thirsty, I am seer, I am etc., I am hearer, I am fine, etc. Means you don't confine yourself to this particular body, subtle body. You are all the subtle bodies. That's a knowledge. I am this subtle body is in ignorance. So please understand this. So that way any Sukshma Sharira is basically non-separate from the I, and therefore anything which is non-separate from something, well, that alone has manifested in that form, and that's how we gave a lot of example. Well, you say wave is water. That's correct. Wave is water. So I should not say wave is not water. Even though I speak, but you please understand it, that wave is water. Water is not wave. That is our understanding. We have to make it clear. This Ranjan man, no, she goes back and she comes again. Anyway. Anyway, so this is how Sukshma Shariram Kim. So then we will understand. So first, so there are two steps in Vedanta. The step one is this whatever is non-I, see them as a non-I. Why? Because there is already confusion. I have taken it as I. I have taken non-I as I. Atma is taken as a anatma. And therefore, we have to first do the separation. And once you separate, then you will see your dimension in which all these anatmas are covered. All this. When you say I am all pervasive, then whatever forms, whatever anatmas are there, which is in front of you right now, all are you. So first you say I am not the body, and then cover all the bodies also. And the second step, you cover all the bodies. This is how it should be seen. That's how when I have talked about the Satchidananda, I have told you to go through this kind of a procedure. First negation, what you are not. And then once you say I am just a consciousness, then the dimension of consciousness is something limitless. When you say it is limitless, it covers all the forms which you have already negated. You have negated a particular form, particular body, etc. I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, etc. I am not this gross body. But when you say I am then all pervasive consciousness, when you come to know that you are all pervasive consciousness, limitless consciousness, well, then whatever is there, it is you only. Yeah. So then that is the second step. So first, Atma, Anatma, Viveka. And then you find that there is no Anatma as such. Whatever is Anatma is just a mithya thing. And whatever is mithya is non-separate from me. I alone appear in those forms. And that is how we see. So please understand that Vedanta is of two. Vedanta is, the knowledge is complete. Vedantic knowledge is complete only when you cover both the steps. First, negation of anatma as not, well, it is not an atma. And then later, well, you are just consciousness. But what is the dimension of consciousness? Well, it is limitless. How can you see it is limitless? We have seen, of course, by the three steps, three stages of our own experience, that I am beyond time, I am beyond space, etc. And therefore, if space cannot limit me, well, I am limitless. And if I am limitless, then whatever is there is me only. And therefore, that is how all the forms, so-called forms, they are all nothing but the my forms. They are mithya forms, they are just appearance on me, they are superimposed on me, etc., etc. They are non-separate from me, they are mithya, I am satyam. All this is a second step. That's how whatever is there is you. Then ultimately, whatever is there is you. That then knowledge is complete. That's how sarvam khaluidam brahma. All that is there is Brahman. All that is there is Brahman. And he leaves himself. All that is there is Brahman. Well, all that is there is Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. And that Brahman is myself. So you are all pervasive. Therefore, they always give this kind of a thing when they describe all pervasiveness of Paramatma. They won't forget this step, telling that that is you. That's what the Mahavakya is. That Brahman, which is Jagat Karanam, which has manifested in all these forms, mithya form, that Brahman is you. That's how the Mahavakya completes the knowledge. Merely Atma Anatma Viveka will not complete. Please understand that. Merely Atma Anatma Viveka won't complete unless you see the dimension of Atma is equated with that Paramatma. And therefore, when it is said that Atma and Paramatma are not different, well, then you see yourself also a limitless Atma. So, both the things are required. Anyway, so here we are denying what I am not. Since I have identified with this particular subtle body. Of course, gross body we have seen. Subtle body also now we are negating. So subtle body, what is the subtle body? Sukshma Shariram Kim. Then we have seen that the subtle body is that which is Kritam, which is made up of Apanchikruta Panchamahabhutai Kritam, which is made up of the five basic elements which have not undergone a grossification, fivefold grossification. That process of grossification is going to come. It is called Panchikaranam. It is going to come. In which there is a mixture of the basic elements, and that give rise to the gross elements. That process will be told later. So, and it is Satkarma Janyam, Sukshma Sharim, we are defining Sukshma Sharim. So it says Satkarma Janyam, well, born of due to good karmas. And then Sukha Dukkhadi Bhoga Sadhanam, it's a means of enjoyment for pleasure and pain. And then it is made up of 17 parts, 17 constituents. Sukshma Sharira is the assemblage, and it has 17 parts, and that is Pancha Jnanendriyani, and it has 5 sense organs, Pancha Karmendriyani, 5 organs of action, Pancha Pranadaya, 5 physiological functions, Manasya Ekam, then Manasya Ekam, Cha Ekam means you add 1 in that. So Cha indicates an addition. So now 15 are there. 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action, 5 pranas. Now 15 are there. So Manasya so add 1 more in that. So Manaha you add, that's a 16. Then Buddhishcha Eka, because Buddhi is a new feminine word, so we should not say Ekam. It is Eka. Eka is a Srilinga word. Buddhishcha Eka plus add 1. So 17, that is Buddhi. 17th, that is Buddhi. Evam, in this manner, well, Saptadasha Kalabhihi Saha Yattishtati, with this 17 factors, well, it remains, it is there, Yattishtati Tat Sukshma Sharira. It is called Sukshma Sharira. And we started, of course, we have started the discussion also. The Sukshma Sharira is one which is an important link between Atma and this Sthula Shariram. And that's what kind of a link? Then I gave you an example of an electrical gadget like a refrigerator and electricity. And well, of course, so electricity, if this particular thing is functioning, I mean, this our gadget called refrigerator is like a gross body. It is functioning because of electricity. And therefore, even though electricity is very subtle, it cannot be perceived. But this refrigerator is functioning. Well, you can imagine, definitely. So its presence cannot be missed. And its absence also cannot be missed. If it is not functioning, refrigerator is not functioning, you can immediately come to know it's the absence of electricity. And it is functioning, you come to know the presence of electricity. Well, so presence and absence cannot be missed, even though you don't see. So it is called subtle. Same way here. The physical body is functioning right now. Right now I am speaking, sir. I am seeing you. I am hearing you, etc. And you are also doing the same thing. Well, the physical body you find active. Yeah, I am finding active. But then I am seeing physical body because it is gross. But because of which the physical body is functioning, that is subtle body which is present inside, well, it is never seen. And still, its presence cannot be missed. Since I am talking, since Swami is talking right now, the subtle body is present in this physical body. You are listening to me right now. Well, subtle body is present in your physical body. So its presence cannot be missed, even though you don't see. Generally, what we don't see, we miss the presence or absence also. Whether it is there or not, we don't know. Presence and absence both are missed when the thing is settled, like COVID-19. So I don't want to go into that, but you can think in a current situation also where that presence or absence can never be known. That's how people keep a social distance, because they don't know whether it is there or not in the person. So anyway, so this is how. And but Swamiji, how can we know it is there? Well, because of infection. So the characteristics of a particular disease, etc., is all there. So you can understand, even though you don't see that, but still you cannot miss the presence. That is how we should see. Just a minute, somebody has come in. Okay, anyway, so this is how a gross body and subtle body. Gross body's presence is always perceptible. It's perceptible, and so we say it is there. And when it no more remains an object of perception, well, we say it is not there. Whereas subtle body's presence and absence can be deduced from the activity of the physical body. If it doesn't, this becomes inactive totally. No listening, no talking, no seeing, no digestion, nothing, no breathing. Well, subtle body is gone. So this, which makes, we can, in other words, we can say, we can make this physical body alive is due to Sukshma Sharira. Which makes this alive is due to Sukshma Sharira. Anyway, And then very important thing we discuss is Sukshma Sharira is always in keeping with gross body. This thing we'll never know. We generally say Satkarma Janyam. This body, we always say the gross body is all born of our own karma. We never thought of that even the subtle body is also born of a good karma. So that's how here it is said Satkarma Janyam. And then I gave you a certain idea also that subtle body also is different in a different living beings, and therefore, and how can you say the different? Because this gross body behaves, in a manner in keeping with the subtle body, and therefore with that we can understand that subtle body, all subtle bodies are made up of basic elements. That way it is same. Second thing, all the subtle bodies also function in a same way. Like eyes here in a human being also do the same thing like a donkey's eyes do. Donkey's eyes also see, and human eyes also see, or even a mosquito eye also see. So they do the same job, but then still the subtle bodies are different, in as much as what a mosquito can, what a tiger can see, well, I cannot see. Or if I can, no, Swamiji, you can also see. Yeah, but then I need an extra light. I'm in sunlight. In the wild animals, they can see in the night also. And they are required to see because their prey is moving around, and they should be able to see because that's on the prey itself they live. The livelihood is on there, and therefore they are able to see. Well, I cannot see. So that is how their eyes are. So power in the eyes is different. The legs of the horse, well, I'm not talking about the gross part, that's a gross body. But the power in the legs of a horse, well, the smell in the leg, in the dogs is entirely different. They are more powerful, or some are less powerful than us in terms of senses, in terms of even organs of action, in terms of mind. They are different. Their psychology is entirely different than our psychology, and we basically have a doership, enjoyership. They don't have a doership. Like dog doesn't have a doership by biting a Swami, or even Swamiji used to tell, even a donkey kicks a person. He doesn't have that kind of a guilt that I should not have hurt this Indian Swami. Well, they don't have that kind of a thing. They feel like kicking and they kick. That's how Puja Swami used to tell. They feel like kicking. They kick. But Swamiji, how can you say we also do feel like doing something and we do? Well, that time we are an animal, definitely. Because we have a choice not to do. Yeah. We have a choice. Do it differently. Everything. A human also can raise his leg in order to kick somebody. But seeing the person has more strength, slowly the leg comes down and you start smiling, But sometimes you feel what happens, in a lift and everything, it always happens. When you are going in a lift and you are going on a 30th floor or something, and somebody has just entered from the first floor, and from the look you feel that this person is a source of fear. Suppose sometimes people look like that, and then what you do, because you are alone in that lift and he is there. Well, then and he has to press the button. You have found it of the 39th floor. So till you are reaching to the 30th floor, he is going to be there in the lift. And so, how to remove the fear? So you start just giving a smile to the person, as if to get rid of your fear from that person. Well, that is what I am saying is, basically, you also can kick. You have got a feeling like kicking a person, and you have even lifted the leg also. But seeing the strength of a person, you put down the leg, right? Or you can suspend your action. Well, they don't have that kind of a thing. Means their minds are different. They don't have doership. Doership is where there is a choice. Choice of action indicates a doership. They don't have a choice. And your choice in action is so much is so much from all the action, starting from doing a brush in the morning, starting from taking a bath, starting from eating, everywhere you have a choice, choice, choice and choice. And that's how they have only 2 items to eat day in and day out, I told you. And I have thousands of and thousands of items to eat. I mean not daily, but you have a choice. Today this, tomorrow that, day after tomorrow that. So that indicates your mind is different from any other living. And there also they have a difference. Like all these trees, etc. Well, they don't have even feeling like doing some action, and they do. Even they don't feel, they don't have, you won't feel that they have some fear. You won't feel they express certain emotion. They don't. Like laughing, etc. They don't express. Dog, you cannot see the dog is smiling, etc. But the way from the tail you can indicate, you can get the idea that the dog is happy. So the dog's mind is able to emote. It's able to exhibit the emotions. Well, you won't find in trees. But Swamiji, tree is not a living being. Now that's not the question. Our own scientists have already proved it, and the way it grows and everything. And it's a living entity. There is no doubt about it. Upanishad also tells that vriksha also is one yoni. Anyway, so this is what I am saying is subtle bodies are always different. They are same. They are same in two ways. They are different in other third way. What are the two ways? They are all the subtle bodies are made up of apanchikrita panchamahabhutas. They are made up of the basic 5 elements which have not undergone 5-fold grossification. Well, that's there. And every particular organ in the subtle body, particular part, does the job that is same in all the living beings. Like eyes see one thing alone. Eyes is one job. Eyes has a one function, and that is to see. Ears have a one function to have to hear, etc. And it may be a dog's ears, or even a dog's eyes, or any living being does the same function. And we are going to see that also. There is an order there, and that's called a physical order. There is a sensory order, etc. They are there. That's order. That's a manifestation of Ishvara, but we will not go into that right now. Only I wanted to show you that this particular, a subtle body also is always in keeping with a gross body. So every gross body behaves differently because the subtle body which is present inside is different. So it is always in keeping with the subtle body, is always in keeping with the gross body. And sometimes certain part of the subtle body also is not there in some living beings. Like snakes do not have a hearing capacity. We feel that Puja Swamiji is to describe that from the snake charmer, etc. I don't want to go into that right now. But snakes do not have a hearing capacity. So snakes have a subtle body. But they don't have a particular location where that particular organ, sense organ, can manifest. They don't provide the house. The snake gross body is such in which there is no location, no house for that particular organ of action called ear. So if they are not providing a house, then they don't manifest. And there is a lot of things to be discussed in this. In Brahma Sutra has discussed. If I start putting the doubts, you will say, yeah, Swamiji, this is a great doubt we have. If time permits, we'll discuss this thing also. Because certain sense organs are, even the gross body, slowly decays. And the subtle body also decays. We lose the power. We lose the power of the mind. We lose the decision capacity. We lose, thinking capacity. We lose even retaining capacity. We lose the sensory power. We lose even we lose the power in terms of organs of action. Now I am not able to lift the way I was lifting in young age, etc. So the subtle body also looks, it is decaying. And the question is going to arise that this subtle body will now leave this body and goes to the next body. then the decayed subtle body will go to the next body, then there will not be eyes, etc. Or even if the eyes are there, they will have function in a same way in which like a old person's eyes are seeing. No, you find again the same, very fresh, with a new power, etc., the subtle body. Then he has got a new subtle body, and this subtle body has not gone there. No, this subtle body has gone there. Well, this subtle body has gone, then it was already decayed. And perhaps person loses the eyes also. Sometimes it happens so, person loses the eye. But when he gets a new gross body, then you find the subtle body, I mean, they have full eyes. They have a new, they have a full eyes, I mean, the eyes are new altogether with a new power of seeing, etc. Then how can you say that this subtle body has gone there, etc.? Well, that kind of questions are there. Brahma Sutra has answered all this kind of a things. Anyway, if time permits, I'm going to cover that thing at the end. But right now, in the flow itself, we see Satkarma Janyam Sukshma Sharim. So, as this gross body, is born of Satkarma, same way the subtle body also is in keeping with the gross body, and that is also born of good karmas. Well, and then so the Sukshma Sharira, we basically, and of course I told you about in terms of evolution, etc. The consciousness, manifestation of consciousness also, manifestation of Ishvara also is different in the different medium called the mind. That thing I have told you last time. So then this Sukshma Sharira, being a Sukshma, well, it is not available for any other form of perception. And then how do you know its presence? I told you, we make just an inference. And if this physical body is alive, well, that's how also it can be said. If the physical body is alive, not even doing something, like it's just sitting like this, but still, and or maybe lying down, then and not doing any kind of thing, not seeing nothing, but still, if it is alive, we can say the subtle body is there. So doctors always declare the death purely by the inference that the subtle body has gone. So they always put a flashlight in the eyes, and from the, I think, movement of the eyes or something, they see that particular patient has, is dead, because his function of eyes is not there, etc. So, and then they try to detect the pulse when it doesn't respond, and so they say that the person is gone. Pulse, etc. indicates prana, of course, and the movement in the eye, etc. indicates that there is a sense organ present. So they are seeing only a gross part, right? This pulse also here they put and see, that's also a gross part. It's part of the gross body, and the pulse of a particular vein or whatever it may be, and so that also is a gross part. But they infer the presence of a subtle body from the activity of this physical body. So how did they conclude the person is gone? By inference, because they do not see the person responding, and so Sukshma Sharira has walked out. But when it has walked out in my presence, he was alive, and now I am present right now at the near the bed of this patient, and the person has gone. Then you are saying the subtle body has gone. Then, but I have not seen any subtle body which is going away. So that's how we say it is Sukshma. Its going away is not seen, but you cannot miss its presence, and well, you cannot miss also its absence. So we can define from this a subtle body in these terms, that which makes the body alive, and the departure of which is considered as the death of the gross body is called Sukshma Sharira. I again repeat. So that which makes the body alive, and the departure of which is the death of the body or death of the gross body is Sukshma Sharira. So in the absence of this subtle body, well, human being, the human body no longer functions. Now you are saying, Swamiji, no longer function. What are the functions? That was indicated by these three things. Pancha Jnanendriyani, Pancha Karmendriyani, Pancha Pranadaya. All these indicate function. They are the part of subtle body. And you see the function in the gross body due to subtle body, but the subtle body has these parts. They are functioning, and so you see the gross body also is functioning. First thing is Pancha Jnanendriyani, senses, sense organs. And And also Panchakarmendriyani by the organs of action. They are all part of the Sukshma Sharira only. And they are going to, define what are the 5 sense organs, what are the 5 organs of action, what kind of a function they do, what are the objects of their function, etc., etc. What are their devatas because of which they function, because of whose grace they function. Everything they are going to narrate in this itself after this portion is over. So we'll see at that time. We'll first just see what are the things covered in this definition. And so organ of speech and everything, they are all karmendriyanis. Hasta, the hand and legs and etc. When I'm doing like this, don't consider this hand. This is a part of gross body. But this, there is a subtle body, there, subtle hand, let's say, subtle hand. So organ of action, which lifts, because of which you are able to lift anything. You are able to grasp anything. And therefore sometimes this is there and you are not able to grasp. So this remain as it is, perhaps throughout your whole life, but you start losing the capacity to hold. Earlier you were able to lift 10 kgs, now you are able to lift 5 kgs. The hand looks same, still you are losing the capacity, power, etc. because a organ of action called hand he resides in this and it is losing the power, it is decaying, etc. And so if the organs of action do not function, at least you will find the senses function. It happens that organ of actions loses power sometime first and still senses are functioning. And if also they do not function, the mind functions, and this is Sukshma Sharira. Means part of the Sukshma Sharira is always there, which makes the body alive, which makes the even gross body to function. Well, part of it may go away, part of it may remain, and still we can say the Sukshma Sharira is present. That's let's say a waking state. Let's say that way. In waking state you find sometimes that some of the organ of action you are losing the power. And still, then the senses are still there. They are functioning. Or if you are losing the senses, or one or two, not all senses one cannot lose. One loses eyes and ears and nose, hearing capacity and even a tasting capacity, organ of taste, etc. also has gone, and even the touch has gone. I don't think, I have not found a single person in which all the senses have gone. No, one or two. That all depend upon karma only. Ultimately, Satkarma Janyam has been told. So it is all depending upon karma. But one or two or three, even they say in this particular infection of COVID-19, person loses temporarily hearing capacity and the tasting capacity and even the smell capacity to smell also. Temporarily they lose. It has been told by one doctor, and temporarily it goes, but it comes back. But permanently all the senses goes away, or permanently all organs of action go away. Well, that is not the case. And so otherwise person cannot live. Very short life person will have. So, but in a waking state you find this kind of a plus minus thing in terms of senses or in terms of organs of action, etc. But then mind continues to function. Well, definitely there. And well, with its own capacity, but it functions. In dream what happens is senses and organ of action both do not function. And still the mind functions. That's how you are able to project the whole dream world. And the prana, of course, definitely. Prana, the physiological activity continues, breathing continues, and that's how you will find that pranas are also there. And mind is active. Both the things are there. Out of the all 17 organs of a subtle body, these two functions are there, of the mind and of the pranas. They continue in dream. In waking state, all are there with plus or minus capacity, or with one or two absent, whatever it may be. So in a waking state you find the subtle body is fully active with whatever the capacity. In dream state you find the senses and the organs of action, well, they do not function. definitely they resolve. This is a nature of the state. So it resolves, and but the prana and mind still function. And in deep sleep, when you go to deep sleep, well, even the mind resolves, and so only prana functions. That is what it is. In what is the difference between a death and this sleep is only one thing. In sleep, this prana is there, which makes this connection between a subtle body and gross body. That's the prana is a link there. That's how initially we told the subtle body is a link in terms of functioning, in terms of even this life also. So prana is one which makes this body alive, and that is present in a deep sleep state. Well, at the time of death, entire subtle body goes away. So then pranas also go away, and therefore this gross body becomes dead. So that's the difference between the deep sleep state and the death, is the presence of prana. A link is present which keeps the subtle body and gross body connected. That's how it's been narrated. So the prana functions, the sukshma sharira is still there, and the body is alive. So even though you have gone to sleep or are in a state of a coma, etc., well, the prana is still there. So other states we have to consider. Person goes to coma, becomes unconscious, etc., and still the prana is there. Therefore, we say the person is alive. So prana is a very, very important part of this sukshma sharira, and which gives a life, which makes the body alive. So what makes the body alive? The Atma makes the body alive, or this prana makes the body alive? Prana makes the body alive. Because of the physiological functions, etc., well, this body is still alive. Atma is one which provides existence to everything, including prana. Everything. And therefore they are all mithya, they are all jadam, made up of all the subtle elements, basic subtle elements. Atma is something which is not, Atma is not made up of elements. Atma is not made up of elements. All these elements are projected on Atma. So that's how people sometimes, they connect these two. They consider prana as Atma. Because that is because of this only prana, because of the prana only the body is alive. They think that the prana goes, means the Atma goes away. Sometimes they say also, sometimes they say prana is gone, sometimes they say Atma is gone, Jiva is gone. And they feel that Jiva and prana are one thing. No, that's not correct. And therefore, Jiva is one who is conscious of everything. See, how will you know? What happens, in a deep sleep state, the prana is there. Suppose if prana is Atma, means prana is a conscious entity. Then prana is, what is conscious entity? What is the definition of conscious entity? Who is aware of itself and who is aware of the surrounding is a conscious entity. The prana is there in a deep sleep state, and all the things are absent as such. Then the prana should be, if prana is Atma, then prana should be conscious, and prana should say that I am there, I am functioning in this manner, I am breathing, and I am doing a job of breathing, and I am doing a job of digestion also. Everything is going on in deep sleep. And I am all doing a job of circulation, etc. Everything I am doing, and I am aware of this physical body. Well, I am aware of the resolved mind, resolved this senses, resolved organs of action, and that's what your deep sleep state should be. But you say you don't know anything, including the prana. You don't know that. And therefore, if you are aware of the prana, that they are, even though they are there, well, you are as if they were not there. They are there, but you are not aware of it. And prana is not aware of you. Therefore, prana is an inert entity. We should understand this very well. So, prana is gone, well, we can say that. So, body is not alive. Well, Atma is something which cannot go anyway. But in terms of even Jiva also, Jiva decides to go, and then it takes prana also along with it. And there is a systematic way it goes that has been described in a Chandogya Upanishad, and also brought in a discussion in a Brahma Sutra 4th chapter in 2nd Pada. That's what right now we are on. So somebody, suppose who knows Gujarati and wants to listen to that, they can definitely go to the channel and see that. Very systematically the death occurs. And I don't know how Upanishad describe all this. You see the person who is dying, you find the same, I mean the exact way it is, the way the Upanishad has described, you find in the same fashion the person is living. It's an amazing thing. Anyway, so that which gives life, which makes the body alive is the prana. And as long as prana functions, there is energy available for the body. And that's how they say, even in old age, definitely prana also, because digestion becomes weaker, respiration, etc. capacity becomes weakened, circulation weakens, etc. etc. And that is how becomes becomes weak. That's how my English is. You take it for granted. And so when the body's sukshma sharira leaves, which means the body is dead, then the prana does not function. So otherwise, you see, if pranas live in a deep sleep state, you know what will happen? In morning, you won't get up to have a breakfast. But you immediately, after getting up, some people immediately go to the kitchen because they feel that, because the whole night there was a fast. You did not eat anything. So you have to break the fast. And so in the morning, so breaking the fast itself, or you feel hungry itself, shows the prana's presence. That's all. And so prana is present, but yet it is inert. We should keep this thing in mind. So the body, physical body which is alive in a deep sleep state is due to presence of prana. Part of a subtle body. I mean the subtle body is present, we can say. So when the pranas do not function, of course there is no digestion, there is no absorption, there is no circulation, there is no respiration. We are going to see that prana, apana, vyana, etc. And so presence of prana is a minimum requirement. See, what I am going to discuss is the subtle body and the gross body. They are interdependent. And they have to work in tandem. That's for sure. I mean a minimum part of a subtle body should be there in order to make the physical body alive. And that minimum required on part of subtle body to be present in the gross body, to make it alive, is prana. Is prana. Definitely prana. Well, of course, organ of touch, etc. also is very essential. Otherwise, I don't think if this, not the skin, well, the gross skin also has a very big role, doctors can tell me, but the organ of action as such, the touch, the sensation of touch, well, it's a very, very big thing, very big thing. If that is not there, you will lose hands and legs. And that is how a diabetic patient sometimes lose the leg also, the foot, because no sensation. And that's how, I mean, any kind of injury occurs, and much more than that. Anyway, so a subtle body, I mean, a minimum subtle body is required. I mean, some part, I mean, prana, etc., or some other, I mean, sense organ of touch also is required, etc. Otherwise, this physical body cannot remain alive. And we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita, we started, I mean, in the evening, I will also talk today. And the gross body also, a minimum gross body is required to keep the subtle body inside the gross body. And what is that? All the vital organs should function up to a minimum capacity. So heart has to function up to a certain capacity, and then both the kidneys are not functioning, I mean the filtration, etc. of toxic things and going away from, I mean throwing away. Well, it has to be there, at least not 2 kidneys, 1 kidney should be there. And like that, liver also, liver which produces, somebody told me liver is a very big factory, Swamiji. It produces some 85 or I don't remember. So all kinds of chemicals they produce, which is very essential for this gross body. Well, so liver also has to function. A part of liver can damage, still it can. Sometime in cirrhosis, etc., the liver loses almost all capacity, or in a cancer, liver cancer also. Well, then in that case, person cannot be alive. I mean, the subtle body has to live. Subtle body has to live. So the gross, on the part of gross body also, there is a responsibility to keep the subtle body inside itself and to keep it alive. And that is the capacity of the vital organs, the function of the vital organs to a minimum capacity. And this is how subtle body and the gross body with a certain minimum capacity, they can support each other, and definitely in that case they can work together, they can remain together. So Sthula Sharira also should fulfill certain requirement, and Sukshma Sharira also should fulfill certain requirement in terms of prana has to be there, etc. Or the sense organ of touch should be there, etc. Anyway, now let's go ahead. The physical body is Sukha Dukkha Bhoga Ayatanam, which we have defined earlier. And here in subtle body's definition, it is said Sukha Dukkha Bhoga Sadhanam. So I am again referring to that subtle gross body's definition in terms of this Sukha Dukkhadi Bhoga Ayatanam. And Ayatanam means, I told you, a residence, a tenement for experiences. Experiences of what? Experiences of pleasure and pain. And well, so when you say this is a house, gross body is a house for experiencing pleasure and pain, means the one who lives in the house is definitely different. We have seen that. Suppose the person is lying down and the other one is called. I'm calling the person. This has been described by, I think in Upanishad there is a story. Well, the king takes the person to near a sleeping person. But I am talking something little different. But there also the references of this kind only. And then the person calls the person. He just call him in a very soft manner. That Brahma, please get up. Please get up. It's morning now. Please get up. And he doesn't get up. Then this fellow shouts, "Get up!" Like that he says, and still he doesn't get up. Then he shakes the person. Still he doesn't get up. And then he felt that he is really in a deep sleep. So he brings a little water, etc., cold water, and puts on his eyes or face. And still he doesn't get up. Then he checks up the pulse, etc. Or he calls a doctor, and doctor checks up the the movement of eye, etc. And they say, well, he's gone. The indweller of this residence has gone. Could you follow? Ayatanam means say resident. We always say, we say like that. The Swamiji father has gone, so and so has gone, so and so has gone, mother has gone. So then mother's body is lying there. Then how can you say mother has gone? So you are not referring to the gross body, it is clear now. Otherwise, how will you say the mother has gone? This is the mother, whole body is still there. And then definitely the indweller of the body is gone. So body is a residence. And the jiva is one who lives in this body, who is the indweller of the body. Well, we have seen that word dehi, it has come in Bhagavad Gita, dehi. Deha asya sthiti dehi. Deha means a body, and dehi means the indweller of the body. So, Swamiji, you were talking about the subtle body and you have jumped to jiva. Yeah, I am coming to that, yes. So, and therefore we say now this particular person is not locally available, he is gone. He has vacated this house. Then, okay, if he has vacated the house, let us sell this house to somebody else. Well, this house is meant for him only. Once he vacates, this has to be broken down, or it has to be burnt, or whatever. It has to be buried, whatever it may be. But this house will not be useful to anybody. Otherwise, human being can use this. You're going to sell the house and get some money, earn some money. But this particular house, as this jiva lives, unsubtle body also lives. And therefore, basically, this house started all kinds of dirty things. It bloats and starts smelling and everything. So even if you want to sell it, nobody will take. Anyway, so once this house is vacant, it is useless. It was meant for that person only. That's how it was told, Satkarma Janyam. It was born of the earning of that person, meant for that person. What was the usage of this? To have an experience of pleasure and pain. The pleasure and pains of the worlds, the objects of pleasure and pain of the world will enter through this body. That's how this is called ayatanam. Sukha Dukkhadi Bhoga Ayatanam. As such, the word Bhoga itself, the definition of Bhoga is Sukha Dukkha Bhoga Sukha Dukkha Sakshatkaraha Bhoga. That's how they say. Sukha Dukkha Sakshatkara. Sakshatkara means here experience. Experience of pleasure and pain, etc. is called Bhoga. But here, in definition, this has been told Sukha Dukkhadi. Adi Padat, we have to consider there are objects which do not create either pleasure or pain. They just enter and leave also without creating any pain or any pleasure. Thousands and thousands. There are thousands of such objects in the world. They enter, well, but do not create pleasure or pain and leave. So we in fact in our home also there are several objects. Well, they are not creating pleasure or pain in our mind or inside. I mean in the mind, of course. But so they enter through the doors and windows. They definitely enter, but they leave. They the way they have come, they just leave. So Adi Padat, we have to take the objects for which we are neutral. They don't generate either Sukham or Dukkham for us. So Sukha Dukkhadi Bhoga Ayatanam. And this, and as I told you, once the person leaves who has earned this body, the body was given to him out of his earning. While if he leaves, this has to be destroyed. And Bhagavan makes the body in such a fashion that you will have no other purpose but to destroy. No, Swamiji, one minute. What? This body is given to a medical people for a usage. Yeah, that's correct. But other than that, there is no other use. So I have to give you some exceptions also. So Sukshma Sharira, which which was in keeping with this gross body, is also Satkarmajanyam. And now physical body will be said as a Sukha Dukkhadi Bhogayatanam, the counter or the window, as I told you, for the experience of these pleasant and painful experiences. And now Sukshma Sharira is said here as a Bhoga Sadhanam. The means, definitely the objects have entered of a pleasure, of a pain, or of neutral objects. I mean, they are not going to create anything, either of this. Still they enter. But then you require a means to enjoy. This is a body through which they enter. Well, but there are means inside to enjoy to have an experience. The means should be there, means of experience should be there. And this means is nothing but the subtle body. So Sukha Dukkhadi Bhoga Sadham means the means of gathering those kind of experiences, means of gathering Sukha Dukkha, etc. Mind is a means to experience, and our senses also undergo experiences. So they are the means to bring the data of the world, basically. So that by which, sadhanam here, so there are two words as such, sadhanam and sadhyam. The people have imagined a third word also, and that's they call it as a sadhana. But there is nothing called sadhana. That sadhanam itself has become sadhana for somebody. Actually, there is no word called sadhana. Sadhanam is there and sadhyam is there. And what is the definition of sadhanam? Well, sadhanam is something, sadhyate anenaiti sadhanam. That by which you gain something, you do something. Like, these are the senses, sense organs. Through sense organs, I collect the data, world data, in order to gain enjoyment or pain, either way. To experience a pleasure or pain, these are the means, this sadhana. Also, sadhanam also means, sadhyate anena means what? That by which you do something. So even like the hand, not the gross hand, I have already told you there is a subtle hand inside. It's an organ of action. So by which you grasp something, you lift something. Same way leg also, subtle leg in terms of a karmendriya, by which you go from one place to another. So it's called sadhana, means by which you do something, means by which you gain something. So this is how it has been narrated. So our data of the world, physical world, you gather through the sense organs. And in this world you do something in order to achieve something, of course, well, that also is sadhana. Either you do something, either you gather something by instruments. They are all called sadhana. So sukha dukkhadi bhoga sadhanam. And so either you express yourself into the world through the organ of action, or you let the world enter into you, walk into you through the sense organs. So organs of an action by which you express yourself in the world. You go out as though you go out, and sense organs are generally something by which the world enters into you. No, Swamiji, but the eyes go out. Yeah, that's correct. But in general, this is a general way of defining. I mean, subtle body sadhanam means jnanendriyani also sadhanam, karmendriyani also sadhanam. Well, that's true. But you gather, I mean, the world walks into you in order to give you pleasure and pain through a particular gates that are jnanendriyani generally. And there are certain sadhanam or karmendriyani are such sadhanam by which you go out. I mean, you express yourself in the world. So world walks into, either you go out of the world. So for that you need instruments, and those instruments is a part of the subtle body only, jnanendriyani, karmendriyani, etc. And that's how they say sukha dukkhadi bhoga sadhana. So physical body was ayatana. It was a residence in which the jiva was staying for sukha dukkha, and so through that it enters, and then these are the sadhanam by which even they enter, they need not give you pleasure or pain. You need some instruments in order to have a pleasure or pain. So you definitely, once they enter, there should be some means or instruments by which you experience pleasure or pain. Those things is nothing but a part of subtle body. Those things are part of subtle body. So this is how it is. And even in the mind also is necessary. Of course, I have talked about jnanendriyani and karmendriyani, but you can take even the mind also is necessary component in sense perception. Mind is a necessary component in a, it is just behind the sense perception, behind the sense organs of perception, I mean sense organs only, or behind the organs of action also it is present, and therefore mind is also required. And then of course inference, etc. All you, not only perception, for inference you require everything, and therefore mind also is considered as a sadhana. And the mind, of course, they call antakaranam. Mind is a instrument, inner instrument. Well, these sense organs, etc., or the karmendriyani, organs of action, are bahishkaranam. They are at the outer level. The mind is at the inner level, but they are instruments. Instruments for what? Experiences. For what kind of experiences? Sukha, dukkha, etc. So they are the instruments. And bhoga means generally, most of the time word bhoga in our mind brings in a meaning called enjoyment, but we should consider as a experience, because sukha dukkhadi bhoga, then sukha bhoga is all right, but dukkha bhoga, enjoyment of pain, well, that cannot, so therefore bhoga is translated as a experience. So experience is common, and it may be pleasant or unpleasant. And to go through this experiencing, and also to accomplish various ends, the subtle body and or various components of the subtle body is a means. And the sthula sharira is a counter, in which sthula sharira is a residence in which the sukshma sharira resides as instruments and gives pleasure and pain to the jiva, who is a resident, who is an indweller. Now this sukshma sharira is last part is remain is a apanchikuta panchamahabhrutaihi kritam. Kritam means made of. Apanchikuta panchamahabhrutaihi kritam, non-grossified, I mean intangible form of the five basic elements. And well, what is the panchikaranam, etc. is we are going to see. So grossification, how it takes place. So this subtle body consists of the five senses of perception, pancha jnanendriyani, pancha karmendriyani, pancha pranadaya, and these pranas, etc. Now I will have to I mean, they are also going to be defined, but I mean, told, enumerated, what are the 5 pranas. But we'll just take here, I said you the physiological functions of the body through the prana, and it is panch pranadaya, means prana adaya. Adi means etc. Etc. means what? Prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana. Prana means basically a respiration. Apana means elimination. Like you remove a waste from the body in terms of a liquid or in terms of a solid component. Well, that's due to apana. It pushes the waste towards down. I mean, so it goes through. Then both through the organ of action it goes away. We'll see that later. Vyana, circulation. There is a circulation in the body. Udana, ejection. Ejection in terms of even lastly the the jiva ejects, taking the help of this particular prana. It leaves this gross body, and therefore just as the rocket, when it is going upwards, it needs a booster in, and then it pushes the rocket upward. Same way Udana also is like a booster. It the whole subtle body along with the whole subtle body goes away along with the jiva with the help of this Udana. It is very difficult process. It has been described in a Brahma Sutra. Of course, we are doing that right now, and so and that's how they say even before leaving it it is like what happens is when the person leaves the residence. If you leave the residence, then you pack up all the things, and then you get so tired. Then you sit for a while, have a coffee, etc., and then you go away. Same way from this gross body, when the subtle body, when jiva lives along with the subtle body, and subtle body has to be pulled from their own residences. That's a very painful thing. And then at that time, what happens is the jiva gets tired because pulling all them, bringing them near to the heart, etc. This has been description there. And then for a while, jiva takes a coffee, and that's why it merges into Brahman. And whenever it merges into Brahman, it becomes fresh. That's how in Sushruti it happens. When you become one with the Paramatma, and when you get up in the morning, you are so fresh. Whole your tiredness has gone. Same way even at that time, at the time of a final departure, Mahaprayanam, after packing up everything, and jiva is sitting with the whole load of all this baggages and everything, and he got so tired, and therefore he rest for some time. He merges into Brahman. That is description there, and there was a big doubt in that, and that's how Brahma Sutra has addressed that. The people who know Gujarati can just go and refer if they are interested. Anyway, so this 5-fold pranas are there, and this Udana basically take away. Udana's other karyam also, in vomiting and in making this now noise. After eating we get a noise of trupti, like that. So that is also due to Udana. Udana is active in even sneezing also. Udana is active in removing your cough from because that it comes up and go out. That's how. So Udana is active. But finally, other pranas they are packed as though along with the jiva. But Udana is ready. Udana is so active now; it has to take the whole load. Jiva also is there. All this thing has to leave the physical bodies, and Udana becomes active because it lifts away and takes away from the body. Anyway, so prana in general is this prana, pana, vyana, udana, samana, etc. Samana means a digestion, and udana means ejection, prana means a respiration, apana means a elimination through the lower doors, all this waste, and vyana means a circulation in the body. Well, that is there. And so this group of 5 make this 15. Pancha Jnanendriyani, Pancha Karmendriyani, Pancha Prana. And to this are added the mind and intellect. Mind and means the manaha and buddhi. They have said manascha ekam. You add and buddhischa eka. And buddhi also add. So 70. Now what is the function of mind and buddhi? We'll see it. tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.